If we could go to the next slide. So my role here is to tell you about the core facilities and some of the technical resources. Got a bit of an echo in the background. I'm not sure what's happening. Anyway, so where do the core or shared resources, we use those terms interchangeably, fit into all of this, including your postdoctoral career? And I think, a really important question for everyone to consider is what resources will you have beyond your lab borders? Because that's very important to get out from within your lab to get to the greater world of science. And so I think the cores allow you to both accelerate your research progress by providing lots of technology and expertise for you, and also give you access and training to how to use these technologies. And so those are both important because as postdocs, there are two things you need to do. You need to be trained and you also need to have accomplishments. And so the cores can really help in both of those areas. Next slide, please. So at Sanford Burnham Prepis, we have 9 shared resources that are sort of organized by our cancer center, but accessible to all researchers at the Institute. And they are animal resources where we have sort of take care of the animals and a lot of procedures and technologies. And in fact, it's really quite full service that the lab people don't need to deal with any of the animal care and maintenance kinds of issues. The animal facility takes care of all that, and they can do things like injections and set up breeding, and all those kinds of technical things. Cell imaging histology, we have a really impressive collection of microscopes and also a histology core, which does sectioning and staining. Flow cytometry, both analytical and sorting, genomics. We have sort of standard next-gen sequencing technologies, single cell sequencing, and we're moving into spatial transcriptomics as well. Proteomics, we have a really strong proteomics core that does everything from what co-precipitated with my protein to global phosphoproteomics. So you really have the range of opportunities to look at proteomic questions. Bioinformatics, we already touched on this, how important data science is becoming, but just making sense of big data from the cores is a really important undertaking these days. Functional genomics, we now have libraries where we can reach in and knock out any gene and see what its role is in the cell. So that's really sort of where functional genomics comes in. And also they make viral vectors for people to do whatever they want to do. Cancer metabolism is just analysis of metabolites, metabolic flux, respiration. And then we're just reorganizing a bit, and we now have a therapeutics discovery core, which is a large one, which will encompass some of the functions of the Prepis Center that Michael Jackson will be telling you about in the next presentation. But that's really quite a comprehensive core. Next slide, please. Oops. Can we get to the next slide? Oh, thank you. So I think there's some important and distinguishing features, and that pretty much every institution you think about will have core facilities, but not all of them are actually ones you'll get to be able to use. So our cores are highly accessible and dedicated staff. They're not a part of somebody's lab. They're actually a freestanding entity whose only job is to help you when you come to do stuff in the core. The full-time core directors, they're mostly postdoc trained researchers and experts in their technology, and they can really lead you through everything from experimental design to collecting the data and then interpreting the data. So again, I think it's a very valuable resource to learn about how to use those technologies. And most cores offer full service or training you and then letting you independently use the core. And part of that depends on whether it's a passing fancy or whether it's something that's going to be an intrinsic part of your research. And our core services are affordable because we're an NCI cancer center, so the costs are subsidized by the NCI grant plus the Institute as well. So that's always important for using cores. Next slide, please. Again, there is this very strong center we have here for developing therapeutics, and it includes all these things that are shown there of assay development, chemical libraries, high throughput screening, high content screening, medicinal chemistry, and exploratory pharmacology. And again, Michael Jackson will tell you more about that. Next slide, please. This just shows you, I mean, Sanford Burnham Previs is an incredibly compact campus. The bottom image is our main campus, and we have one more building that's about a third of a mile away. But for the most part, most places are within steps of each other. And so it's very easy to access the core facilities as well as to get advice and counseling from any of your colleagues at the Institute. Next slide, please. We also have a wide array of common use equipments. Again, stuff outside of the labs that accelerates your research by the Institute providing all of these pieces of equipment that are listed here for your use. And, they're totally accessible and you can use any of the ones across the campus. So that, again, helps with equipment outside your lab. Next slide, please. So I'll just kind of close by saying what a remarkable area we are working in here in La Jolla, that within 3 miles of our institute, we have 2 other NCI designated cancer centers, the Moores Cancer Center at UCSD, a comprehensive cancer center, and the Salk Institute and their cancer center. And also within that distance is right across the street is Scripps Research, Sanford Consortium for Regenerative Medicine, La Jolla Institute, and a remarkable number of biotech companies. So there's just any kind of technical or intellectual resource nearby that you could possibly hope for. Last slide, please. And for those of you who are visual learners, this just shows a little aerial view with Sanford Burnham Previs highlighted. But again, across the street is Scripps. If you're a golfer, there's a great golf course. There's the Sanford Consortium for Regenerative Medicine, Salk, and San Diego. They're all right there. And you can throw a rock down the hillside and hit a remarkable number of biotech companies. We don't advise that. So anyway, I think it's a great environment, and certainly technology will not limit your research in this area. So happy to take some questions.